Got a special project in this week. It is a 1991 Pontiac Firebird Bandit II. This thing only has 10,000 original miles on it. The client just picked it up on Bring a Trader and brought it to us so we could really make sure it looks as new as possible. Over what, 34, 35 years. This horse still has some wear and tear. I'm sure people have been dusting it off and doing all that sort of thing. So it's got some swirls and scratches. It's got some water spots, some other normal paint issues, I guess you could say. So we're gonna do some paint correction, protect everything with a coating for him. And we're also gonna do some window tint. This thing has a pretty crazy back window. Should be an interesting project for sure. We may do some interior repairs for him. Headliner is sagging a little bit from age. We're gonna look at maybe doing some PPF on the hood for him. It's got the original Firebird decal, so it's starting to fade a little bit. It gets spots as well. So we're gonna try to clean that up for him, and then we'll just put PPF over the whole thing, really. So the hood will be protected and the vinyl will be protected as well. Without further ado, let's take a look at this thing. Here we are. So like I said, 1991 Pontiac Firebird Bandit II, 10,000 mile car. Absolutely beautiful. One thing I failed to mention is it does have that Choo-Choo Customs or Chattanooga Customs body kit on it. I remember that being super popular in the hot rod scene. This is, I guess, back when I was in high school. But yeah, all the 80s and 90s cars are available for them. G-body Customs Cutlasses and Regals and El Caminos. I think the El Camino was probably the most popular one out there for this type of body kit. But anyway, it's a trip down memory lane, I guess, for sure. Doing some paint correction, ceramic coatings. We may do some paint protection film, basically to protect this giant original Firebird decal. So what we'll end up doing is just going over the whole hood. That way the vinyl and the paint will be protected. We're gonna do some window tint as well. All pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy about these except for this back glass. That should be a little bit interesting, but I have no doubt that we'll get it done with good results. Just really doing anything and everything we can to get it looking good for him, or as good as possible. We're gonna do a little bit of interior work. Just kind of do a deep clean. It does have some carpet stains. Probably not all gonna come out, but it will be clean. And we're gonna look at getting some headliner work done for him as well. Kind of sagging a little bit in the back there, but super cool. Stitched seats, solid, just a solid car. Time capsule. We are gonna do our best to preserve it for the future. We are over in the PPF shop this morning, taking a look at that 1991 Pontiac Firebird Bandit. After some discussion with the client, after the vehicle was dropped off, we went over all the correction and coating options and stuff like that. One of his main concerns was the Firebird decal on the hood. And so remember, this one, it's a 1991, 11,000 original miles. The Bandit II was a special edition from Chattanooga Customs. Some of y'all might remember them. I remember them, seeing all their ads in the hot rod magazines back in the 80s and 90s. Anyways, they were super popular back then for these type of vehicles and G-body vehicles, and just a cool company. Anyways, so they do like a whole body kit, a hood scoop, the Firebird emblem on the hood, kind of like pinstriping and a couple other emblems or decals. Anyways, you can't get this decal anymore, so he wanted to do his best to preserve it. So he decided to go ahead and put paint protection film on the hood to protect it, also protecting the paint, of course. What we found in this process is, generally when we're working on a vehicle this old, it's single stage paint. However, like General Motors was one of the first, or I would say like innovators with the base coat, clear coat paint system. So what we're working on with this Firebird is just extremely old base coat, clear coat. So what we're finding in the prep and in the paint correction is that this paint is very soft. It grabs onto everything. So the compound, it just holds onto it. So we've had to really kind of adapt some processes to get the paint corrected. And in this scenario, correcting the paint on the hood. And then also, we took hours, just hours and hours to clean 34, 35 years worth of buildup around the edge of this decal, whether it's wax or dirt, or maybe the decal shrank a little bit and there was some exposed adhesive there. So everything just stuck to it. So it's really, it's kind of turned into a can of worms to an extent when you compare it to when we're prepping like a modern vehicle, paint protection film, or just doing paint correction. So I had to really kind of dig deep in the back of my brain there. I've been doing this since the 90s, so back then, basically, and how we work with this type of paint, which has been good too, because it turns into an educational opportunity for the guys, because they're a little bit younger, they haven't seen this sort of thing, and their experience and training is going to be with, again, like the modern base coat, clear coat. There's just so many differences there. Back then, we're talking like solvent-based paint. Nowadays, everything is water-based. So we really had to kind of adapt through this process. Anyway, though, the hood PPF is on. Caught that process on video. I'll show you kind of what it looks like right now. And this is also a good example just for any vehicle that has vinyl on it that wants to have PPF. You get a lot of new vehicles out there now with like racing stripes. Sometimes you'll have like a matte square in the middle of the hood, that sort of thing. And what you find when you install PPF on top of those, the vinyl is above the surface of the paint. So you've got like a little raised edge, right? And in that raised edge, when you put PPF over top of it, you end up with some sort of an air gap, because as flexible as PPF is, it's never gonna seal perfectly right there. Some vehicles, you notice it more, some vehicles you won't, but this one's not too bad, but you're always gonna see it, right? But aside from that, it looks amazing. The paint looks great. Let's take a look at it. Still got a little cleanup to do, got some edge work to do. Man, look at that gloss. And that gloss is gonna be a combination of things, right? PPF is super glossy in its own right, but the underlying prep that we had to do made a huge difference as well. But man, thing looks smoking for almost 35 years old. When you compare it to areas that we have not corrected yet, bumper and fender, this thing is gonna be a night and day difference once we're finished with it. You can see where the hood scoop will go back on there. We are over here in the detail shop. Today we're gonna be finishing up the final touches on the paint correction. The PPF is all done. We had Audio Master in here doing some 12-volt work for this client, replaced some headlight motors and did an LED conversion for the headlights for them. Remember, we got the headliner replaced, the interior is all dialed in. We've done a good bit of correction on it already. We just need some kind of cleaning up and final polishing, that sort of thing. Just try to get it as good as possible. I missed a clue when I was doing the original inspection on this one. That kind of explains why this paint is being so finicky. Basically, I had the hood up and the guys were working on the headlights, and I just happened to notice that the bumper stops, like for the hood, they were painted red 90% of the way. This thing has been resprayed at some point in its life. Who knows what it was resprayed with. But I think that's the answer to a lot of questions that we've had throughout this process. And I don't know, we've got everything dialed in now as far as the process goes. So it's just a matter of completing a few steps and getting it coated, and this one will be on its way. All right, we're out here with that 1991 Pontiac Firebird Bandit II, that custom body kit by Chattanooga Customs. This one's been a long-term guess. We did a lot of work to it, a lot of paint correction. We did some ceramic coating on all the paint. We did PPF on the hood there where that Firebird decal is to protect that. Get it looking good. We did window tint all the way around. Sides, rear, T-tops, windshield. We replaced the headliner for him. And then we had our guys over at Audio Master come in and do a LED headlight conversion. Replace one of the headlight motors for him as well. Yeah, looks good. Excited for the client to pick it up this afternoon and see the result.